Something feels off in Maranello. Not loud, not obvious, but quietly unsettling. You won't find it in headlines or press conferences. There's no official announcement, no public statement, no firm denial, just silence. And in Formula One, silence is never neutral. It's a language of its own. When teams don't speak, when words are carefully avoided, the paddock knows something's happening. Lewis Hamilton arrived at Ferrari with more than just speed. He brought belief. He brought a plan, a vision to rebuild, not just win. A fresh chapter, a new legacy. But now, that vision is under pressure, and not from rivals or the track, from inside the very walls that welcomed him. Behind closed doors, in hushed tones, a name keeps coming up. Christian Horner. It's not front-page news yet, but the whispers are growing. Ferrari is quiet, but the silence says more than any press release. Lewis hears it too. He's been in this game long enough to know what that kind of silence means. It means something's shifting, something big, and once whispers turn to decisions, the vision Hamilton signed up for may no longer exist. And that silence Lewis hears now, it's not unfamiliar. It echoes something he's lived through before. To understand why Horner's quiet presence looming over Ferrari feels so dangerous, you have to go back to 2021. That season wasn't just about lap times and podiums. It was a mental war zone. The world saw Hamilton and Verstappen go wheel to wheel on the track. But off it, the real damage was being done elsewhere, in stewards' offices, behind microphones, and through carefully calculated statements to the press. Christian Horner didn't just fight for Max Verstappen. He launched a campaign to shake the very image of Lewis Hamilton. Week after week, he questioned his decisions, his style, even his place in the sport. It wasn't loud shouting. It was slow, subtle, relentless, designed to wear down not just a driver, but a reputation. And Hamilton? He never punched back. He stayed silent. But that silence wasn't weakness. It was discipline. Still, silence doesn't stop scars from forming. Now, imagine those two men, Lewis and Horner, under the same roof, wearing the same badge, expected to build the same future. That's not a partnership. That's a ticking time bomb. Because some rivalries don't die with time. They just wait for a chance to reignite. But this isn't just about old wounds. It's about what's happening right now, and it's moving fast. Fred Vasseur, the man Lewis Hamilton trusted, the one who gave him confidence to join Ferrari, is suddenly under fire. Headlines in the Italian press paint him as underperforming, too soft, lacking vision. Convenient timing, isn't it? Especially now, just as Christian Horner becomes available. The team hasn't made any official moves, but in Formula One, the real conversations never start on the record. Sources close to the team whisper that Horner has already had informal talks with Ferrari. No contracts, no announcements, just the kind of quiet conversations that change everything. And while the world waits for proof, Hamilton doesn't need confirmation. He knows how this game is played. He's seen this exact strategy before. Discredit the current leader, plant the idea of someone stronger, and let the media do the rest. It's not coincidence. It's a textbook power shift. Lewis didn't come to Ferrari just for a faster car. He came for a vision, for structure, for trust. Vasseur was more than a boss. He was a signal that Ferrari was changing. Now that foundation is shaking and Lewis can feel it. Because when trust disappears in Formula One, it doesn't collapse with noise. It disappears in silence. And that silence is creeping back. For Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari was never just a career move. It was a statement. He didn't come just to add trophies to his cabinet. He came to rewrite what Ferrari stands for. A team once seen as traditional, rigid, almost untouchable, now, with Lewis, had the chance to become something more. He brought more than speed. He brought purpose, diversity, inclusion, legacy, all tied to his name. For Hamilton, wearing red wasn't about fitting in. It was about redefining the fabric of an F1 giant and proving that change can happen at the very top. But Christian Horner doesn't play that game. He's not about movements or missions. He's a constructor, a controller. Every team he leads bends to his will, not because he asks, but because that's how he wins. And if Horner walks into Ferrari, Lewis knows exactly what that means. His vision dies before it ever really begins. Because Horner doesn't share space. He dominates it. He builds around himself. his philosophy, his priorities. That's the cost of his success. Total control. For Hamilton, this isn't just about sharing a garage with someone he once fought. It's deeper than rivalry. It's about identity, about everything he stood for when he signed that contract. If Ferrari chooses Horner, it's not a new direction, it's a rejection. Not of performance, but of belief. A quiet message that Lewis's dream was never really theirs. And that betrayal hits harder than any defeat on track. Inside Ferrari, something has shifted, and not in the way the headlines suggest. There's no official memo, no dramatic team orders, just a slow, creeping chill that's working its way through the garage. Mechanics exchange quieter glances. Engineers hesitate before updates. Radio calls come a second too late. The tone in meetings has changed. Not outright hostility, but something colder, calculated. It's no longer about racing strategy alone. It's about who gets to define what Ferrari becomes. The team now stands at a clear crossroads. On one side is Hamilton's vision, built on trust, resilience, and human values. He didn't just come to drive, he came to inspire a transformation, to bring meaning back to the prancing horse. But on the other side is Christian Horner's model, ruthless, efficient, and entirely about results. Not just winning, but domination. A structure where control is concentrated, voices are streamlined, and emotion is secondary to outcome. The paddock senses the fracture. Whispers travel faster than cars. And Lewis, he's lived this before. The way loyalty shifts without warning. How a team stops looking you in the eye when they've already made a different plan. He's not angry. He's alert. Because when a project turns into a power play, it's no longer about who's faster on track. It's about who survives the politics off it. And right now, Ferrari isn't just choosing a team principle, they're choosing a future and everything that comes with it. And so, as the cold silence in Maranello grows louder, the real question finally comes into focus. Is Ferrari quietly betraying its own future? Because bringing in Christian Horner doesn't just complicate team dynamics, it sends a message that cuts deeper than strategy or leadership. It says that what Lewis Hamilton represents was never truly part of Ferrari's plan. His legacy, his values, his mission for something bigger than racing, all of it becomes disposable the moment Horner walks through that door. Hamilton came not just as a champion, but as a symbol. He brought with him the hope of rebirth, of a team finally evolving into something more than tradition and pressure. A Ferrari that could stand for progress, purpose, and passion. Not just cold, calculated victory, but if Horner arrives, that vision cracks completely. The garage becomes another machine, not of speed, but of control. No longer a space of inspiration, but one of obedience. And the most dangerous part? Ferrari believes it can have both, that Hamilton's soul and Horner's system can coexist. But in Formula One, you don't serve two masters, not without tearing the team apart. For Lewis, the message couldn't be clearer. You're not the architect here, you're just a pawn. And that's when everything changes, because Hamilton is no longer waiting for a statement or a press release. He's watching the behaviour, the silence, the subtle shifts. He stopped asking questions. He started reading the answers. And the truth is undeniable. If Horner is welcomed in, Ferrari isn't just making a decision. They're making a declaration that the future Lewis believed in was never real. Only one legacy will survive. And Ferrari is about to choose which one it is. The paddock watches closely. Whispers swirl through the garages and headlines fill with speculation. But behind the red walls of Maranello, something deeper is breaking. Not a part, not a wing, but the very foundation of trust. Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari just to race. He came to restore something lost, its soul. To bring meaning back to the red suit, to lead with purpose, not politics. But now, the spirit he came to revive is under threat. Christian Horner may be ready to take the reins, but he cannot carry the heart. And Lewis sees it. He doesn't need a statement or an answer. The silence tells him everything. In Formula One, silence doesn't mean peace. It means someone is moving power behind closed doors, and this time, Hamilton is watching it all unfold, clear-eyed, unshaken. The truth is already out there. It's louder than any press release, and it's ticking like a countdown.